You can tell the alcohol's flowing already in the audience. Welcome back, everyone. It's been 3 years that we haven't done this.
It has been a long 3 years, but we're back now.
We are back.
And where are they back to? You're back to New England Cooks.
Oh.
Right?
She's such a Martha Stewart thing.
Yes,
You know.
with your host and my younger brother, Tony Campos. Happens to be his birthday today. And me, his sister.
Yep.
Sister Sandy. And we're here, and we're excited.
We are. Are we?
I am.
I was nervous all day.
You were.
Yeah, because I love my people. Mm-hmm. I don't like you too much.
Are these your people?
These are my people.
Yeah,
These
these
are my people. I mean, I love them. So I was nervous because I go, sis, it's been 3 years. She goes, just get over it.
I said, get over it. I mean, you're a professional. You get up here and we'll do it.
No. I never said I'm a professional.
Not many people have either. But anyway, and your sister does. So.
Oh, Mom, I always liked you better.
All right.
Oh.
So the one thing we're going to do is get this show on the road.
Let's go.
And so tonight, I read the recipes, and I made a pizza dough. Okay. And then I looked at what we have in store.
Did she actually read it?
And then I actually read it, and we have a wonderful evening in store. We have one of our favorite chefs, Stefano Coppola.
Oh, why don't we make it look obvious? They're like, okay. Yes. Yes, we're close now. How's that, Keith?
Live TV is just wonderful, isn't it? So anyway, we have Stefano with us this evening.
Well, let's bring him on. Do we want to talk about him more?
You want to talk about him more?
No, I want to bring him on.
No, I want to talk about him a little bit more. He is from Morse Block Deli, and if you've ever been
And Pearl
there,
Street Pizza.
And Pearl Street Pizza. And Stefano, his sandwiches are just a creation, a work of art, and his pizza dough is going to be a work of art.
So we have family in Rhode Island called the Alberghettys, all right? Now, the Alberghettys overstimulate me. That says a lot about the Alberghettys, right? But when they come up here, they always want a Pearl Street Grandma Pizza.
They do.
Yes.
Well, you never invite me when they come.
Well, I don't invite you.
But anyway, so let's bring out Stefano.
Hey! Our man! Our man!
They've waited long enough for the star.
Yes.
Good to see you. I'm so happy you're here.
It's good to be back.
And so.
Joe, are we okay? We want us closer. Okay.
And you've made an art form out of local sourcing.
Thank you.
Going to network with farmers and incorporating them into your food. It's just a wonderful thing. But tonight, we're going to go back to Grandma's Pizza.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about Grandma's Pizza.
So our grandma pizza that we do at Pearl Street is kind of an amalgam of a traditional grandma style pizza and a Sicilian square pizza. So rewind back early 1900s, Italians are immigrating to the U.S., mostly in the northeastern United States. Lots of them settled in New York, obviously. There's a large population in Philadelphia. A lot of them settled here in Barrie as well. But so the grandma style pizza, as we know it today, is kind of a evolution of two different styles of what is considered grandma style pizza. One style was really prolific in the Long Island area of New York. And this style of grandma pizza had a crispy cracker thin crust, cheese on the bottom, sauce on the top, in very small proportions. So it was like a very light, kind of almost like snack type of pizza. Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, in the around 1910, they were kind of having their own grandma style come about. And their grandma style was more based on focaccia. So the base was, like a breadier crust, very airy and pillowy. And they put sauce on the bottom, no mozzarella cheese. And when it came out of the oven, they would put pecorino over the top. And that is considered a tomato pie. That was kind of what Philadelphia brought to it. So through the past 100 years, the two have kind of merged, and grandma style of pizza is a term that is used to describe lots of different styles of pizza. Our pizza, we primarily use that focaccia style crust, but we also wanted the bottom of our crust to be super crispy, like the cracker style crust. And we like cheese, so we put mozzarella on ours. So we kind of, our recipe as it is now we took, before we opened Pearl Street, probably about 2 months of R&D, testing recipes every single day, testing different fermentation temperatures, lots and lots and lots of factors. More factors than you would ever believe go into a pizza crust. So this is what we have come up with as our grandma style. Definitely not as thick as a Sicilian, but definitely not a cracker crust either, somewhere in between. We are aiming for a crispy, crispy bottom crust, light, fluffy interior, and we go crazy with the toppings. So kind of our own thing.
And you're letting us in on the secret of
letting
that
you in on the
R&D
secret.
initiative right here on Main Street in Barry.
Absolutely, you
I
got it.
can't believe
North End of Barry.
Okay. And obviously they know our grandmother. 'Cause anyway, go ahead.
So the dough itself is pretty simple, just very, very limited ingredients, but it's more about the process. If you were to eyeball these ingredients, besides the yeast, of course, you'd still come out with a really good, dough, and the devil is really in the details. So basically when we put our dough together, you'll see it's very simple dough. It looks kind of shaggy at first, and we'll let it ferment in the fridge overnight. At Pearl Street, we bulk ferment all of our dough in this humongous container that we roll into the fridge, and we ferment it overnight. When it goes into the fridge, the dough probably comes up about that much in a container that's about this big, and in the morning, the top is busting off of this container. So that's how active this dough is. The following day, we have a bunch of these style pans, and we'll weigh out the dough in each pan, and throughout the day, throughout probably about 6 hours, we keep dimpling the dough, meaning we take our fingertips and we just go over the dough. And that's what will create, you can see it, these little pockets, these nooks and crannies. And when this bakes, it'll bake up a little bit higher. And that's what's going to give you the really airy bubbles in your crust and make it really light and squishy and delicious.
So you're telling us this 2-day process is really worth it.
It is worth it. It is worth it. You can definitely speed it up if you need to. You can make the dough in the morning, and instead of refrigerating it overnight, just leave it out. And in about maybe 3 to 4 hours, it should be ready to go into the pan like this. And you can dimple it a couple of times, and you could speed it up for sure.
You're
But
dimpling.
I know, I'm on it. I'm on it.
but it's really one of those things that the longer you let the dough do its thing, the better final product you'll have.
Okay, well, I have all the time in the world, so I can't wait to try this. But go ahead, let's go.
Cool. All right. So first things first, we need to make sure our water is hot but not too hot. So if you can kind of stir the water with your finger, that's kind of a good way to gauge that it's not hot enough to kill the yeast, but it is hot enough to kind of let it bloom and do its thing. So it might be just a touch too hot. I'm going to let it hang out for a little bit.
Steam coming
Yeah,
off
I'm going to let it hang out for a bit, second. But
It's 180
so-
degrees.
again,
hot.
again, really, really easy. In a minute or two, we're going to put our yeast in here and mix it up really good, and then we're going to let it hang out. And we'll really find out if it's too hot, because if it is, it won't foam up like it says in the recipe. And by foam up, I'm not talking about, shaking a soda and cracking it open and, that much foam. It's really just going to be like a little foamy substance hanging out over the top. And that'll, if you visualize that, then you'll know that the yeast is active, it's not dead, and it's doing its thing.
Now, you said in your thing, don't use rapid rise, though, right?
Correct. This is
Okay.
not rapid rise. So there's 2 types of active yeast. Rapid rise, which I believe it has baking powder in it, and it will throw off the recipe. You'll
kill it.
You won't kill it. You'll actually create too many bubbles, and so olive oil is inherently a little bit acidic, and that acid will activate that baking powder in the rapid rise yeast, and it'll screw up your dough. So don't do that.
All right, so get rid of the rapid rise. This is,
All right.
we're going back to the authentic.
Yep, just
Before
regular
you put
old
that in, we'll
active
give it
yeast.
another second. You want
Yeah.
this burner off?
Yeah, we can turn that off. That's cool.
I'll do it. Give me
Oh, okay.
something to
All
do.
right.
You're doing that. You
You're the birthday boy. Shouldn't have to do anything.
Right. But we want the day to feel different.
know.
All right, so we're gonna go in with the yeast.
Oh, that's
Kind of sprinkle it over the top.
It's yeast going into water.
I'm a cheerleader.
And we can let this hang out. And you can see it's kind of getting cloudy. That's a good sign. That means that
Keith's
it's probably going to
cut-
do its thing.
He's going to cut some net.
And
shots.
we'll give
There,
it
see,
give
look,
it a
isn't
little
that great?
zhuzh. Yep. And so we're going to let this hang out for just a few. You have your,
This is my time to shine. Here's the 6 cups of unbleached flour.
yep, unbleached flour. We like to use King Arthur flour, not only because it's a Vermont product, but they could do a really good job of sourcing their wheat, and they keep it pretty consistent throughout the year. Wheat can be kind of funny sometimes depending on when the flour is produced. Winter wheat is a little bit harder than summer wheat, and it might affect the texture of the dough a little bit, but most people will not even notice. Yeah, we use King Arthur flour for most everything that we do flour-wise at Pearl Street. They have really good 00 flour, which is perfect for making pizza. 00 flour, not so much needed for this grandma style pizza, but for our Neapolitan style pizza where we're actually making dough balls, and with that style of pizza where it's a very thin crust, the 00 flour helps out a lot to keep it a little bit more tender, and just gives us a better final product. But
And
for
you can go online to kingarthurflour.com and buy this, right?
oh yeah, yeah.
And have
definitely.
you ever gone down to their campus? I call it a campus.
It really is a campus. They do classes and everything over there.
I mean, you know, even for our online or cable audience, we recommend if you come to Vermont, bring lots of money,
Yes,
leave it here,
right.
but check out the King Arthur Flour campus. And you also can sign up for classes.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. They have a great shop there. Pretty much anything you would ever want baking wise is in that shop. They have a nice little bakery there. You could literally spend almost all day at King Arthur Flour and have a really, really
And
good
it's
time.
employee owned, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's an amazing company.
Yeah, it's an amazing company. All right.
Yeah,
When are you going to start milling your own flour?
never.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So it's not super foamy yet, but you can kind of see how the water is kind of getting cloudy, and so it's starting to do its thing. And I'm pretty confident that this will be fine. So instead of making you guys wait for another 5 minutes,
No.
I'm going to keep going. So basically, we have our wet here. We're going to add our.
3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil.
That's right. Right into there.
I drive him crazy.
And I like to throw my sugar into the wet ingredients as well because it dissolves really well, and it's also going to help the yeast kind of do its thing. So the more that we can mix that in there,
Here,
the
let
better.
me take those.
Oh, thank you, Tony.
Yes, it's perfect.
Here you go, sis.
No, I have to read the recipe. 1 1/4 teaspoons of kosher salt.
Yep, and so the salt is actually going to go into the flour mixture. There you go, Tony.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's it.
And that's
Now
it.
the
Now
rest
we're
is now it's
gonna
showtime.
mix them together.
But the big thing is, when he was telling me almost 2 days making the dough, you know, there's a lot of TLC that's going into that. It isn't like going into the grocery store. That there's nothing wrong with it, but you can buy those.
Bags of dough.
I'll shut up. But a lot of people are buying these home pizza
Oh, like
ovens.
the unis? Yeah.
And, you know, during this whole COVID thing, people were like, you know, I'm sick and tired of the only 3 recipes I know. So a lot of people have invested in grills and pizza ovens. And, how many recipes are you up to that you know?
325.
You know 325 pizzas. I mean, recipes.
I think so.
I have like 12 I have down pat.
Oh, no, I think we're at
I
325.
have 12 that I know how to do.
Oh, well,
Well, how many are you up to?
that I know how to do well at home, you
Yeah.
mean? Oh, my goodness, yeah.
All right, let's go.
275.
What are you, Martha Stewart?
I am. And every time we have company, if you come to my house, I try a new recipe.
They'll be at your house.
Yeah.
I'll give you the address. I'll
Drives my
Oh,
husband drives my husband crazy. He goes, "You've never tried this before?" I said, "Well, that's part of the fun, Okay, so, I got 7 last week, new ones. How many did you?
But you know them by heart?
I do, but I don't want to bore them with the details.
As long as you have your phone on you, right?
I did a panna cotta with a raspberry sauce.
nice.
Now that's impressive, huh? I speak from the heart. True.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so
Good job.
dough's starting to come together now. As you can see, it's still looking pretty shaggy, and it's getting kind of tough because all the flour is absorbing all the liquids in there.
This is your workout.
Yeah. You can use a stand mixer if you want with a dough hook, and it'll come together pretty
Oh.
easily that way as
Well, I
well.
have one of those.
I do too. I was going to ask, can you use, now don't faint, you can't use a bread man, I take it.
Bread maker?
A bread man,
Oh, I don't know what that is.
the big box where you put everything in. You
Ronpo
put it,
Peel.
what?
We're not doing a Ronpo Peel commercial.
Yeah,
He's
no.
dead,
No, the bread men, the bread men, they were all, popular a few years ago.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I've never
20
used
years
one.
ago.
Never had the pleasure.
I love them. You just put everything in, you press the button, sweet
No, he
milk.
might walk off the set and keep going.
I know. But you don't have this vintage
Are you calling him vintage?
story. Yeah. His story is vintage.
His story is very, very interesting.
Yes.
What year did we start with Grandma's Pizza?
What?
1912.
1912. I thought he said 1907.
Somewhere around there.
All right.
You're both right. All right, so once your dough starts looking like this, it's starting to get a
Oh,
little bit
that's
smoother. Basically, just pop it in a greased up bowl, and
Do you have one of those?
that's when you're going to pop it in the fridge overnight, hopefully.
You're not supposed to walk off the set. It's bad form, but
I have one that I did make yesterday,
Oh, I don't have to do that. We're going
No, you don't have to do that. Get over your spot.
on my spot.
and you'll see that the dough turned from that,
Here, I'll take that.
thank you very much,
From that dry,
from that
shaggy
dry,
mess.
hard, shaggy thing to this.
Ah,
And that's exactly what you're looking for.
and that happened overnight.
That happens overnight. If you leave it out room temperature, it'll happen a lot quicker. But overnight, the slower you let this thing ferment, the better flavor development you'll get, and better gluten structure you'll get. So it is
longer
rewarding.
the better.
The longer the better, for sure. So this dough ball, I'm actually going to put in a cast iron skillet. And I want to do that to show you guys that even though we use this nice fancy heavy pan, you can make this style of pizza pretty much in anything. So we have this one,
Watch what's going to happen now.
and then I have this, which is just your standard baking pan. And this one I panned up, thank you. This one I panned up earlier this morning. So you'll see how it's even starting to get looser than even this guy right here. This one is like super loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
And so this
Kinda
will
like your
eventually get to that.
host.
This one will get to that point as well as it warms up and the yeast starts getting a little bit more active.
Oh, that's a beautiful shot. Okay.
So
Oh,
Dimpling time.
This is my time.
So here,
to
let me
shine. You're gonna
let me show you
demonstrate.
real quick. So the dimpling, you can see that there's a ton of olive oil in here. Yes, it's necessary, not only to make sure that the dough doesn't stick to the pan, but we also want that olive oil as it's cooking. It'll kind of almost fry the bottom of the crust, and that's what gets it nice and really, really crispy. So dimpling. At Pearl Street, we try to dimple our doughs. This has been dimpled about 7 times. And we try to do it with like an hour or so in between each dimple. And what you're doing when you do the dimple is a couple of things. Spreading out the dough as it continues to rise so it can fill the pan. But it's also redistributing all the little yeast cells in the dough so it can rise a little bit more consistently. It's also going to give you all those nooks and crannies that will eventually become nice big fat bubbles in your dough. So as we continue with the show,
Okay.
you want to dimple it like two or three more times.
All right.
Is there another towel for us, sis?
Right under here.
That's good.
Oh, I don't want you to.
Do you have a job description for the dimpler?
The dimpler. That's pretty much it. You just heard it.
All right, the dimpler. Okay. So he or she has other functions, and then when they get a chance, they run over.
We
to
have
the
one
dimpler?
guy that does all of our dough. Our Neapolitan style dough, our grandma dough, all the dimpling, all the mixing. Dough is literally the only thing that he does at Pearl Street Pizza.
Well, I would keep him.
Yeah, he's an MVP for sure.
Yeah, he's multi. Okay.
All right, so if you want to give it one more dimple and then wait, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes or so, and then give it another one, and we can just continue to dimple that guy throughout the show.
Oh, wow.
And at the end, I'll cook it up, and we'll have a yummy pizza.
Oh, this is.
So yeah, so that's about it with the dough, and then eventually it'll look like this, and we can put our toppings on and pop it in the oven. We at Pearl Street, we cook our grandma pies at 475 degrees.
Oh wow.
They cook for about 13 minutes, and at that point we pull them out of the pan while it's still ripping hot, and get them on a rack so that the bottom crust doesn't steam with all that heat. It keeps it nice and crispy.
What do you use to take it off the?
I do have a couple of tools. I think I put them out back though. But
All
there's
right, you
I'll
show
show
us
you.
later.
I'll show you later. There's like a clamp guy that actually grabs the pan.
Okay.
And there's this big, wide spatula that you kind of get up under it with, and that's how we do it.
I want them to leave tonight being able to impress their friends. the
Yes.
next time they have them over, right?
One other thing that'll help you keep all of your awesome air bubbles is putting the sauce on very gently and putting all your toppings on very gently. For instance, if you take a ladle of sauce and you kind of flop it on there and like try to spread it out with the ladle, you're going to be kind of pushing out all of the awesome air bubbles that you've created. So at the restaurant, we actually use a squirt bottle, and we put all our sauce in there and just kind of do zigzags until it's completely covered, to kind of avoid the squishing.
I never heard of this.
Squishing deal, yeah.
And then you don't
Dimple.
smooth it out.
Nope, don't have to. With the squeeze bottle, you just kind of make lines, and it kind of gets all happy all together, and
Alright.
good to go. Yeah.
Okay.
Has anyone in the audience read that book, Lessons in Chemistry? You read it? Yeah, there's so much chemistry in cooking, and that was a great book about a woman who taught her audience how to understand the chemistry. And I hear you talking a lot about the chemistry behind what we're
yeah,
doing
big
in
time.
here.
It's important. So this guy is ready to be topped. So I'm going to top it for you guys, and we're going to do a very interesting pizza here. It's going to be a pizza dolce, or sweet pizza. And I got some. You got Tony? A few weeks ago, I got some amazing rhubarb from Paquette Farm right here in Barrie. And just this week, I got these beautiful strawberries from Dog River Farm in Berlin. And we've made this pizza before at the restaurant. I'm going to riff off of it a little bit. Basically, we made this rhubarb compote or preserves that we're going to use as the base. We have ricotta cheese that we're going to just kind of plop it here and there. And then the strawberries, and we're going to bake it off. And when it comes out of the oven, we'll put some of these yummy Romana almonds over the top. So it's kind of like a sweet pizza, like a dessert pizza.
Wow.
Yeah. With a spoon.
Yeah.
So who's
but it-
motivated to do a 2-day pizza crust here? Who's gonna, you are? All right, all right. And your address will be there? All right. I'm gonna do it.
Perfect.
And I might try this. This looks really,
So I'm going
For
to
my
be
next
very gentle
company.
when I put this stuff on here, and just kind of let it fall where it falls. And if you don't get total full coverage, that's okay. Pizza is one of those things that, in my mind, the perfect pizza is kind of like, the cheese and the sauce and the toppings all become kind of one. And that's kind of, in my mind, one of the things that makes pizza a beautiful thing. It's kind of like more than just the sum of its parts.
Or you can go off script. Except
yeah,
for the dough.
yeah, totally.
now how did you make this compote? It's just,
Literally just rhubarb that we roasted in our wood fire oven, and then we put it all in a pot with some sugar, a little bit of balsamic, believe it or not, and that's about it. It's very, very simple.
All right.
Bada boom. It's probably good enough. And then ricotta. This is ricotta impastata, and we're just kind of fleck it on there.
Did you make
ricotta,
that too?
We did not make this, but you can very easily at home. Ricotta impastata has been drained already, so it's got a good amount of the moisture out of it, and it gives it a little bit drier texture, so you can kind of crumble it almost like this. We also use this for our cannolis, which makes the filling really, really rich and delicious.
Dimple.
It doesn't look like the ricotta I buy, so it's very nice.
Where's that towel?
I think you gave it to. Here's one, but it's
Perfect.
stamped.
I made a rhubarb pie once, just a straight rhubarb pie. It was very good.
All right, you can stop dimpling.
The dimple police over here.
Does the same guy who dimples into the crust, does he take it out of the oven and perform that last vestige?
Not usually, actually.
Ah.
The cooking of the pizza is done by other cast members at Pearl Street
Okay.
Pizza.
Now we will be pairing some wines and a beer at our last segment, because we have another segment with you with the chicken wings.
Yes, wings. Another thing we're very passionate about.
These guys are good on cue. These guys are really good on cue.
I mean, now doesn't this take pizza to a whole new level? I mean,
All
wow.
right, Tony. All right, so we're gonna pop this in the oven. We'll come back and check it in about 13 minutes and
Did you
see how it's
preheat it to
doing.
475?
I sure did.
500.
Yeah, it's rocking.
Thank God he's in charge.
And if you have pizza stones are still helpful, believe it or not, even though we have it in a pan. Pizza stones will not only that contact on the bottom of the pan and help it get super crispy, but it also helps your oven in general just keep its heat a little bit better, keep a little bit more consistent heat. I have pizza stones in my oven even at home, and they never come out. I just keep them in there forever, and I feel like they help everything. Yeah, so.
I got 4 pizza stones at our house. I like putting them in there.
I noticed that. Okay, well, he I'd have no
All right,
response
next,
to
let's
that.
keep it going. We're gonna keep it going here.
You want
right.
to give this guy another dimple?
Dimple.
We'll keep dimpling that fella too. All right. So while that's baking, you want to move on to
Probably wouldn't
wings?
make it at his
Want to do
show.
wings, or do you want to take a break? Keith, you
Could
want to
take a
take a break?
Let's take a little break, and Elizabeth's got to take some pictures.
Right,
You always take the best pictures.
absolutely I do.
All right, so we're going
I
to take
mean,
a break.
3 years ago, I didn't know
All right,
anyone.
We'll
Now
be right back.